What's up, guys, and welcome to the Yard Podcast. I'm your host, Randy.
And I'm your host, Konu.
And we are World Series champions. You guys know what to do. Leave us a review, leave us a whatever, all that right now. If you can, find us on social. I don't really care to talk about any of that right now. You guys know how to find us if you've been listening. We have a World Series to talk about. Both of us are so excited. First one in Dodgers history in 32 years, and it's the first one in both of our lifetimes.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about the moment when it first happened really quickly. I know for you, I think both of us have kind of been bullshitting each other this entire time. Basically this entire kind of thing we've been saying we didn't care. It would be whatever if the Dodgers won. I kind of even yesterday felt like, you know what, if they lost, it is what it is. And then it got closer to the end of the game and it no longer felt that way. I sat usually for games like that, if I'm at the stadium, a lot of times I can't even watch. A lot of times I just kind of like put my head down because it stresses me out to watch, especially in close games like that. But I was sitting on the floor, and when that ended, like I just cried. I couldn't even hold it back. Like I didn't know what to feel. I just cried watching it. I couldn't
Yeah.
even post on Dodger Yard. I just like sat there and like I didn't even look at the TV, nothing. I just like listened to it and was just like, holy shit, this is it. I
Yeah.
still, yeah.
So like I agree, like this whole time I've been saying I don't care, it doesn't matter. But I think it was when they lost game 4, which was, I mean, we'll get to that a little later. After that loss, it hurt me more than I thought it was. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm really back to caring. And yeah, last night was stressful. The first few innings or at least first half of the game was really bad. Thank you, Kevin Cash. Don't know what you were
Yeah,
thinking, but much
Jesus.
appreciated. Uh,
Coming
I
in
mean,
clutch for the Dodgers.
yeah, he took Snell out and it backfired immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately, Mookie hit a double, and I was like, "You really fucked up."
That's going to be talked about forever. And a lot of people tried to compare it to what Roberts does, and I just couldn't because they were in an elimination game for the World
Yeah,
Series, and that is the only pitcher that the Dodgers have not hit. Um, I don't know if I've ever seen anything really comparable to that before. I stood there like with my mouth dropped. I mean, everybody on Twitter, professional athletes were talking about it everywhere. You had players in other sports talking about it. That might have been the biggest momentum changer. They had seen Anderson so many times. They were hitting him no problem. Mookie Betts was awful against left-handed pitching. So what does he do? Kevin Cash removes the lefty who's already struck out Mookie twice and then brings in a righty that Mookie and the rest of the team has seen plenty of times, knowing that the team cannot hit lefties. And he'd given up 2 hits all night. Like, I don't know how you do that. And I don't know how he
yeah,
comes out of this
yeah.
without being
I,
fired.
it made no when it first happened. I was sitting here like, did he really just give the Dodgers this chance? And I was like, so at first I was like kind of skeptical, like, okay, maybe it'll work out for him, but it's still a bad move just because he wasn't in trouble at all night. He gave up a hit to Barnes, whoop-de-doo. You remove him after that. So I was like, oh boy, you struck out Betts, Seager, and Turner 6 times. I think they all struck out twice. So it really made zero sense to me. And yeah, it backfired immediately.
Yeah, Barnes, that dude coming out and knocking out Blake Snell out of a World Series Game 6. I don't know anyone who saw this coming. I don't know if anyone saw what we saw from Barnes this postseason, let alone the World Series.
I mean, he
But
wasn't hitting all that much, but I can't understate how much he impacted the game behind the plate.
if he didn't get any hits, what he did behind the plate was still more valuable than
Yes,
anything he did with his bat. He did have the home
absolutely.
run, so I don't want to take away that, but like that someone put up the stats. No disrespect to Will Smith, but what he was doing behind that plate was that was getting the Dodgers killed. The ERA for Smith in the World Series, I think, was like 7, and Barnes was like 2.3.
And I want to
Um,
say even before that, because Smith was catching Bueller, and Bueller just kept walking everybody. And
yeah,
as soon as they put him in with Barnes, Bueller started looking like Bueller again. So it was kind of like, is Will Smith an issue here?
Yeah, and yeah, the whole thing was kind of weird. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it's a nerve thing, what it is. Barnes clearly knows those catchers. He's been there forever.
Yeah.
I did find it very weird though that Smith wasn't even catching for guys like May and Gonsolin when you've been catching those guys for a couple of years now. The fact that they're going with Barnes over you seemed a little concerning, but not really the important stuff right now. I don't
I
know.
did want to say I am a big fan of Blake Snell, so I really felt bad for the dude. Like once he
Yeah.
was removed, I was like, "Ooh,
Oh, he was
I don't know."
pissed. He was
You could
mad.
tell he was pissed, and after he had a press conference afterward, and he said some things, and he's of course he's confident in himself as he should be. He's a great pitcher.
Well, and he had no
I just
reason not to be. It's not like it was one of those outings. You know how sometimes pitchers will come out and be like, I mean, kind of like Jansen. They'll be like, I had my stuff, but the guys around me didn't. And like Blake Snell, what like he was confident because he deserved to be confident in that moment.
yeah,
He wasn't just confident because like he's full of himself. Like he had a reason to be pissed off. This wasn't one of those times where you're like, wow, the player's just whining. It was the right move. It's like, no, the player had when you have your former
man,
Cy
he was
Young.
dominating.
Yeah, and when you have a former Cy Young come out and say that after a World Series loss, I don't want to be the manager at that point because that team's probably not going to keep you. Just as a thought, I don't know.
So you think they get rid of him? I know this isn't what we're talking about, but you think they're going to get rid of him?
I don't. I would almost think so, but then I don't know because it's the Rays. I just that is one of those moves that I don't even know how you justify it. He tried to. It made no sense. And even if you were going to justify it, I don't know how you justify Nick Anderson after everything we
Yeah,
saw from him. So I
and
don't know what'll happen.
and
Just
his
because,
excuse was coming up was like his third time through the lineup, right? But then I saw Jeff Snyder say that Blake Snell's stats weren't all that different from the second time through the lineup, so it really made no sense. And yeah, there's no reason at all
yeah,
that he should have been pulled.
not at 75 pitches, not when the Dodgers have been playing like they've seen the bullpen a ton. It's not like any of the starters really held up well against the Dodgers besides Snell. So
Yeah,
they were seeing a lot of the bullpen. So there was really no reason to do that. But you know what? Hey, it got us a World Series championship. Every manager makes dumb moves. We know that it's not just Roberts. I'm just glad our dumb move did not result in that this series because 32 years is a long time. A whole lifetime is a long time. The fan base is going wild. I am clearly not in California, but those streets of LA right now, from what I'm seeing on social
see,
media,
this is the time I really wish I was still in LA.
yeah,
Like seeing all the videos of the fireworks go off. Now I'm from Los Angeles, so there's fireworks going off every night. It's pretty annoying. But last night would have been the one night I would have gladly accepted and participated in something like that.
yeah. I was a little bummed, but we of course don't have a date. But this, I swear, the moment that parade date is like announced, I will put on my mask. I don't care. Like I will drive home. I will be there for that. I will quarantine. I don't care what it takes. But I'm here for it. I'm excited that City deserves it, let alone 16 days after the Lakers win, in a year that was extremely hard for the city of LA, losing Kobe. It just kind of felt like what everybody needed. So I think it all
Yeah.
came together. As for the
And
parade,
even before that, the year before that, when it's not as big as Kobe, I'm not saying that, but losing Nipsey Hussle was also like really hard for Los Angeles because
yeah,
he was like a voice of the streets. So that was tough too. And losing him like in such close proximity was really tough for Los Angeles.
yeah. No, it was a big win for the city of LA. It's it's crazy. That parade is going to be insane. LeBron James was tweeting as soon as the game is over, like, we want a parade. Let us do a Dodgers and Lakers one together. That would be
Oh,
a
that
little,
would be fire.
that would be wild. Which I wouldn't mind. However, part of me like selfishly wants just a Dodgers one because like,
That's fair,
but
yeah.
the fan bases are pretty much identical. That like it wouldn't bother me. Like
Yeah.
most Laker fans and Dodger fans are like the same, so it wouldn't bug me
And
too much.
I
Um,
think for like just representation wise, seeing Mookie and LeBron
yeah,
hold up trophies would be fantastic for
yeah.
people of
No,
color.
I wouldn't complain. I would be there. I'd celebrate it. But like selfishly, if I could have it my way, I wouldn't mind the
Yeah,
Dodgers and
absolutely.
Lakers having separate. But if it's not gonna make me feel any different, and I'm still gonna be there. Speaking of Lakers, I don't know if you heard. So I don't know if you heard the Lakers when they had won their championship, they had beaten the record, I think it was for NBA teams, like most sold out gear in the first 12 hours, whatever it was. They passed the Cavaliers, who held the record from the last time LeBron won, or the only time Cleveland has won when LeBron was there. So last night, Dodger fans set a new record for the first 8 hours of championship gear, passing the Cubs, Lakers, and Eagles immediately following their title. So
Yeah,
our
and I
fan
got Eagles
base,
gear,
yeah,
so yeah, that was
our
wild.
our fan base went wild last night. Spent a ton of money. I had a few friends text me who spent like $500-600, and I'm like, that's dope. I'm jealous. I can't do that. uh
Didn't you want to get a gold plated Kershaw jersey?
I am, but I was told those apparently don't come out until a few weeks before next season. Because I
Oh,
think that's
okay.
the jerseys they wear usually is their home jerseys for the most part the following year.
Yeah,
But yes, I will absolutely be getting that Kershaw gold jersey. I fucked up a little bit and I got so emotionally caught up in everything that I didn't go to order a hat right away. So I still don't have a hat, but I know they'll restock them. There's no way they're not
yeah.
going to. So I'll get that. And then, of course, my friends back at home picked me up an LA Times and OC Register because I needed that. And then I got the LA Times is selling a photo book that's like $30. It's this big ass book that's gonna have pictures. So I think I've got to get that too. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of stuff to buy, but
Yeah,
yeah, our fan base went pretty hard yesterday, and I respect it. I've already
they
had a ton.
deserve it.
Yeah, we all do. I've already had a ton of people try to troll saying like 60 game season, and it's so funny to me that other fan bases think that that's going to offend us. Like, not one Dodger
We
fan is
all
going
had
to.
the same chances,
Yeah,
so
we all had
yeah,
the same chances. It was the longest playoffs in history. So you can't tell me that's easy. That 3 game series at the beginning, that wild card series, any team in baseball could have come out and beat any team. The Dodgers could
right.
have played the worst team in baseball, could have played the Orioles, the Red Sox, the freaking Tigers, whoever the case may be, the Pirates. Any of those teams could have beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3. And then they go and they take on the Padres, one of the better teams in the NL. Then they go and take on the Braves, who was arguably even better than the Rays when you look at them as a whole as a team.
Yeah,
Um, and they beat them. And then they go to take on the Braves, who have, or the Rays, who have some of the best pitching in baseball. Even their pitching showed up most of the playoffs, so it's not like their pitching was just garbage because they weren't hitting. So most of their wins came from the pitching, and the Dodgers had no problem
there
with
was
it.
there was some hitting.
Yeah,
Rosarena got hot. Brandon Lowe had like 3 home runs.
they
Kevin
did pick
Kiermaier,
up.
who isn't a good hitter, had like 9 or 10 hits. So yes, it was some players.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess so. I should say it was kind of like ours because I looked at the batting averages and compared them side to side, and they actually had more players hitting over 350 than we do. So I guess I shouldn't say we weren't hitting. I think it just felt like ours was more balanced, where they just had 3 players who were doing it all, and then the rest
yeah,
just did nothing at any time in
yeah,
play. Like
yeah.
Betts wasn't out.
Zanino was 0 for like 20 or whatever. He didn't
Yeah,
have
he
any
had one
hits.
hit, I think, last night. He got
Oh,
his
that's
first
right.
hit. Yeah.
Baez
Yeah,
or
he got
not Baez.
his first. It might have been
Yeah,
Baez, whoever it was. It was his first hit last night.
yeah, you're right.
But yeah, like we
It
had
was
got
Gratterall. He threw a slider and he
okay, that's who it
was out in
was.
front of it. Yeah, hit the leg. Yeah, I remember that
But
now. Yeah,
yeah, we had guys like that who didn't show up at the plate. Like we had some guys who struggled, what you didn't want to see, but they still came through at different times. Like Mookie, you look at his numbers and you're kind of like, okay, I expect more. But he had his moments where he did have
yeah,
those at bats. Like last night, he had that home run, which was huge. Because that insurance run was really starting to worry me a bit going into the 9th inning. So like his home run was major. Um, the whole thing. I mean, in my opinion, I don't know how you feel. And I know it's 2020. We don't know what would have happened if the trade didn't happen, but I feel like Mookie Betts was the missing piece. If we don't have
I,
him in right field, no.
I don't think we win without Mookie.
Okay, I
I
thought you were
think
gonna. Okay,
he does too much little things. Even if he's not hitting, if he gets on base, he's stealing bases. His base running, just like we saw last night, just like it happened in the first game of the season against the Giants. It was like a run on third, infield in.
hmm
He gets a good jump, sprints to home, gets there before the tag. It's the little things like that that really put you over the top, and Mookie really can do it all.
and there's not many players that can pull off that play that he did. Uh, The thing that's funny too is if you look at, I think I've showed this to you. If you look at the sprint speed numbers, AJ Pollock has the same sprint speed as Mookie Betts. But the difference is Mookie knows how to run the bases, so he's quicker on the base paths and more dangerous than Pollock, even though
Right.
they have the same sprint speed. Because sprint speed
Yeah.
usually just accounts for running in a straight line.
Fine. Yeah.
And that's not going to do much for you when you're rounding bases, all that kind of stuff. So Mookie, the jump that he gets on these
Yeah.
balls, his awareness, his baseball IQ, his like the second the bat makes contact, he knows where that ball's going.
Well, yeah.
Um, I so many of the games have blended in together at this point, so I can't even remember the exact series for all of these things or the exact games, but the things that pop into my mind a lot did come from the Braves series. First, I think it was the Braves series. Was that the double steal or was that the Padres series?
Yeah. It was the now they're all putting in for me. I
Yeah.
want to say it was the Braves. I
I
want to say it
think
was the
it
Braves.
was too, but like, so that was huge because he pulled off that double steal with Seager, and Betts led
Yeah.
that. Without that double steal, Turner single maybe only scores one in that game that
Yeah.
they ended up needing. And then you look at his multiple plays in the outfield, robbing Freeman of a home run, catching Ozuna leaning too far off and making that running shoestring grab. And then you have the play up against the wall. All of those, without those plays, there's an argument that the Dodgers don't win and don't move on if there's not the right fielder to make those plays. His bat didn't provide much, but you can never overstate how important defense and base running is in
Right.
games like this where every single run and every single out matters.
Yeah. I think the first 2 or 3 games he was hitting got cold, like no hits, and then last night he finally got some hits, but only after Snell came out.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a whole team thing. Corey Seager won World Series MVP, won NLCS MVP. That dude killed it. Everybody had to come through and do their job. Sign Corey Seager to an extension because if you guys don't, you're gonna be paying a lot of money for him for arbitration, which is fine. He deserves it, but then another team is gonna come in next year and hand him the bag. So I need the Dodgers to get on that before another team even is allowed to come into the conversation. Uh,
Yeah, Seager definitely deserved that MVP, but I also wanted to give shout out to. I mean, I've already given a shout out to Barnes because of his catching. Um, Kershaw, man, it was good to see you do well. I was nervous the first game. You went out there and shut me up, and then the second game, I was like, "Oh, he's gonna be bad." Wasn't good, but he battled and he got outs when it mattered the most. What was it like? Runner on third, no outs, and he got out of the jam because Margot's stupid.
oh yeah.
Either way, Kershaw did his job, and hopefully we can put that narrative to bed because he was good in 2017 playoffs as well,
Yeah, he
minus
was.
game 5.
Yeah, which of course is that we can't really worry about that one too much.
Right.
Yeah, no, he was incredible. I will say last night when I heard he started stretching, I got really paranoid. I did not want to see Jansen. I did not want to see Kershaw. It's just because the
Oh, he
last
was
thing,
stretching? I thought I
well,
always thought that he was playing with catch with Mookie Betts, and then I was like, okay,
it's
that's
what
fine.
the reporter said. It kind of sounded like
Okay.
some of them may have jumped the gun and got a little excited.
Okay.
But I don't know how much they are able to see where they're at the stadium. But they had made it sound like Kershaw was warming up, and everyone was kind of like, I don't know if this is the right idea. Like, I get it. Kershaw wants his redemption tour, but imagine if you stick him out there and he blows it.
Yeah.
That's so much worse than him just not playing and them winning.
And I also wanted to say that I think Roberts managed a great game yesterday.
Same.
I
Yeah.
I think he pushed all the right buttons, made all the right moves, took players out when they need to be taken out. In game 4, I was questioning him again because he keeps putting Baez in with runners on, and Baez just not good in that situation. So hopefully he'll stop doing it at some point. So I was questioning him there, but then yesterday I really do feel like he did a great job managing.
Yeah. I was
I was
super
I was afraid
happy.
he was gonna put Jansen in, and then I was like, oh no. But I didn't see Jansen warming up. He just let Julio go back out there, and I was like, good,
Yeah.
because Julio's
And
on his shit right now.
that was the right
Yeah.
move to leave Julio in there. As for everything else, yeah, I liked it. A lot of people bitched and complained and was like, Gonsolin shouldn't have started. Roberts is an idiot. But you know what? Yesterday was basically if it wasn't going to be a bullpen game, I didn't expect Gonsolin. I expected Gonsolin to go maybe 5 or 6, but still give up 3 or 4 runs. Gonsolin gave up 1 run in an inning and 2/3. It's not what you want. More guys reached. You want him to do better. That's fine. But Gonsolin gave up 1 run. And then everyone else came and shut it down.
I mean,
You
it
got
could have been more, but hey, Alex Wood,
yeah,
sir, my
yeah.
apologies. I'm sorry
I know.
you did your thing yesterday. Um, Still don't want you back, but we're not talking about that right now. You did fantastic last night. And actually, I think all World Series long, I think would you give no runs, maybe even one, if
Yeah, I think he
anything.
gave up 1 out of like
Okay.
7 innings. Um,
Yeah. He did really well that World
yeah,
Series.
he was fantastic. Without his performance this last night, that could have gone a lot of different directions. I know a lot of fans
Flora
were
got a big out too, though.
yeah, that was a massive
Second out,
out
Rosa.
on
Yeah,
three straight changeups.
yeah.
And I know a lot of people they were really upset about that. They didn't want Floro to come in. Floro came in, did what he needed to do. It seemed like every move Roberts made last night worked. People didn't
Yes.
they wanted Wood to come out for another inning. I had looked at Wood's stats. Wood has not pitched more than 2 innings since his first start of the season. So I am glad Dave Roberts did not bring him out for another inning. The World Series is not the time to push players when they haven't
Yeah.
done that if you have other guys to come in. If we had to ride with Wood, I would have understood it, but we didn't have to. Uh, then everyone got pissed off. Baez came in. I'm glad he came in because
With the clean inning.
yeah, he can't pitch with runners on. And if they don't use him there, they're probably going to use him later in the game. And I don't want that if runners are on. So I liked when he used him. Gonzalez came in, shut that shit down real quick
Yeah.
on 1 pitch. It just
And he
everything.
was pumped after striking
Yeah.
that batter out. And I was like, maybe this will turn the tide.
Yeah.
And then Barnes singled and Snell was gone. And I was like, thank you, Victor Gonzalez. You did all of this.
Yeah, it was just a whole thing. And then like you said, Urias coming in and just dominating, basically untouchable. At that moment it was like once the 8th inning ended, I just kept thinking like I think Urias was at like 9 something, not even he'd barely have thrown any pitches. And I'm just like, please bring him back out again. I don't care about any narrative. I don't care about anything. His arm is okay. It's funny because before the game, Robert said Urias wasn't available, but I think we all have learned that when it comes to the pitchers, any player, I don't trust a word Robert says when he says players are
Right.
not available. I think that's what any manager is going to say. Once you're in the game, things change a little bit. Um, but I think he killed it with the decision to leave Urias in there
He
last
did.
night.
He did. I was happy to see Urias out there, and he was just pumping fastballs, and it didn't seem like they knew it was coming. I think maybe they were trying to sit on the curve because they haven't been able to hit the curve, and he was just like, "Okay, I'm gonna give you fastballs," and they didn't. They couldn't pull the trigger. Was it Adamus looked at 2 fastballs, kind of middle in, just looked at it right down the middle, and I was like, "All right, that's 2," and then the third one beautifully placed. As soon as he threw it, I was like, if he doesn't swing that strike 3, he just looked at it, and I let out the biggest scream I've ever let out. I was running around, tears started coming. It was a great time.
Yeah,
It was a great time.
it was a moment for sure. I definitely just sat there and kind of took it all in and tried to enjoy it as much as I could. It wasn't how I wanted it to happen, but I'm not upset about it. I immediately went out. It's snowing where I'm at, so a little bit of a different celebration than usual. But I went out and I took a shovel and I carved a giant ass LA into the snow in the middle of the road. So it was
Nice.
like I had to have some type of mark here, even if it was a little different than usual. But it was just, it was something special. It was something a lot of people had waited for. It felt good to see the fan base finally just like let out that exhale. And it was very nice to go to bed and be able to look at Dodger Yard mentions and not have to deal with everybody like being pissed off and angry all the time. Like
Yeah.
for once I got to go to bed and people were happy. It was so nice. Um
I couldn't even sleep. I maybe got an hour of sleep, and honestly, like I texted you earlier, I've never had more energy before in my life.
Yeah, I only went to bed when I did because of the podcast because I know how hard it is
Yeah.
for me to wake up. But I was up to like 3 a.m., 3:30, and I started to watch the Dodgers press conference, and it was like 2:30 a.m. and it was an hour, and I'm just like, I started tearing up watching this. I'm like, oh, dude, it's 3:30. I need to go to bed. And so I uploaded that on YouTube, and I cannot wait to sit in front of my computer and watch it today. For those who want to watch it, if you don't have Sportsnet LA, didn't get to watch any of that stuff last night on our YouTube channel at Dodger Yard. We do have the post game from Game 6. You could check that out. But yeah, I still kind of woke up and still didn't totally know what it was like, what it felt like. My phone was blowing up last night. I was having DMs from people, text messages, phone calls, FaceTimes, which was really cool because there's a lot of people who don't quite understand the kind of feeling a lot of us have as Dodger fans and don't quite understand
Yeah.
the sport. But those people still reached out, still knew how
Yeah.
important it was. I had told you, and I didn't bring it up on the podcast last week because I got so caught up in everything else. But last week was on October 20th was the 2-year anniversary of my dad passing away. And that was kind of, he's the one who got me into baseball, everything. And he actually passed away on Game 7 of the NLCS right before they won to go to the World Series in 2018. So I've kind of always struggled because the Astros robbed that one from us. We never got to see it. Me and my brother were at those games, and our dad was there, never got to witness it. And so last night it was like, it just felt like it all finally kind of came together. Like I know my dad, all he wanted was for me and my brother to be able to experience a World Series. And it's like last night it happened.
Yeah.
Wasn't the way we wanted it to, but it doesn't matter. We won. I don't care if 60
Yeah.
game seasons, the playoffs, so many damn games. They played out till Game 7 in the NLCS. So they earned it. They came back 3-1. That was not easy. No
Oh,
team
they
was
definitely earned it.
Yeah, no team was going to be discredited. And you know what? If any fan, especially if any Astro fan comes to you, just tell them to fuck off. Because if they think their 2017 World Series is legitimate, they don't have shit to say about anyone else. I don't care if it's a one-game World Series. The Astros have nothing to say to any other fan base about a World Series trophy. So don't let anyone get to you. Just enjoy it. I'm not even giving those people the time of day because it's all they want. They're so angry that the Dodgers won. They're angry that they picked up Mookie Betts and they won. They're angry that the Dodgers know what they're doing and running a great organization and have the money and the prospects to pull these things off. So we're all just going to live in it. I have not seen one Dodger fan go, you know what, this sucks. I wish it was 162 games. I think everyone feels that way, but no one is actually like,
Yeah.
that's the make or break for me. So,
Right. Yeah. Again, I wish there was 162, but after game 4, I was like, all right, I'm already because that
yeah.
hurt. I'm invested in this shit. Let's do this. They responded very well in game 5. Again, yesterday was a bit of a struggle, but they got it done.
Yeah. And I mean, when you look at what we've gone through as 2020, the fact we even made it this far, like blew my mind. Like I didn't even think we'd make it this far. I thought baseball was going to be canceled when the Cardinals got their breakout, when Miami, and then we kept
Yeah.
going. And then they're like, we're going to let fans into this bubble. And I'm like, there's no way this is going to work. We're not even going to make it. And we kind of didn't make it, but we did. We'll get into that in a couple minutes. But yeah, I didn't expect the whole thing to come out the way it did. I do want to say that my prediction was right and I was happy. I said Dodgers in 6.
Yeah,
So
you
it
did.
was a guess. I mean, anyone could have guessed this, so it's not a big deal. But I do want to say I found my text message last night that I sent to you because I saved it and I sent it back on September 23rd. And I remember you laughed because I explained myself, then you understood. But I said, we'll see what happens. We're either going to win in the World Series, or I said, we're either going to win the World Series or lose in the first round. There is no in between. And my theory was because 2020 is that fucked up, they were either going to break
Yeah.
our heart in the beginning or we were going to win it in the year that none of us could really be there to celebrate it.
Yeah.
So we did, but it's a better feeling than taking the loss. I finally got to take back-to-back World Series loss survivor out of my bio and finally got to put World Series champion. So really, I got what I needed out of this. I mean, I'm already planning trips to come back home and to do stuff with friends once I get back to celebrate. So I think we're gonna be riding this one for a
Yeah.
pretty long time.
Oh, absolutely. I'm still riding the damn Eagles Super Bowl, and that was 3 years ago. I don't care. I'll ride
Yeah,
this shit as long as I can.
no,
But I mean, last night was it was beautiful. It was amazing. The only thing that would have made it better would, of course, have been like if Vince Scully was able to make a call. But I do want to give a acknowledgement to Charlie Steiner because his call at the end of the game on 570 AM Sports LA, it was really, really good. I think I got chills listening to it. It was just very well called. So good job, Charlie.
Yeah. I did not hear that. I had to deal with the broadcast, which it wasn't the worst. I feel like they could have been worse, but it wasn't the greatest. I'm not a fan of Smoltz. I'm not a fan of
It's
Buck.
okay. Yeah, I was gonna say it's Smoltz Buck, right? I don't.
Yeah. I
I've
know you
heard
don't
Buck, and
listen.
yeah, every time Buck comes on, I think he's the reason why I started muting.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard Smoltz, but from what I see on Twitter, it's not good.
I don't know. You weren't listening last night, but you know how Victor Gonzalez came in and whoever it was he faced hit the ball right into the shift? The best part of that entire play was, I don't know if you saw it on Twitter anywhere, was Joe Buck lost his shit because he thought it was a hit. He literally yelled and he goes, and there it is, a ground ball right to the second baseman in the inning. Is like his hope was so high. Like he thought this ball was getting through and the Rays were gonna have off to the run. And like the way the
Oh,
camera was and the way the shift was, you didn't see he hit it into the shift. But
yeah.
Joe Buck totally, like he did, I think there was a fly ball earlier to left field where he was like, and there it is, a deep, and the ball fucking, it went halfway into left field. It didn't even go to the warning track. And he Steinered the hell out of so many calls last night. Like I don't even know if you can keep calling it Steinered at this point after what he did. Like he bucked that up is what he did.
I,
But
I saw people on Twitter saying that it seemed like him and Smoltz were rooting against the Dodgers.
Smoltz would make sense because the Braves, that would not
Yeah,
surprise me.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Buck, I've never liked. I've kind of always felt like he is not a big fan of teams like ours. It always feels that way. I don't know. I still think that, in my opinion, I do not care about other fan bases when watching a World Series or any playoff game. It should be about the two teams
Yeah.
that are out there. I don't know why Joe Davis and Oral Hershiser are not calling the Dodger home games and the Rays are not calling their home games. We should not be catering to, oh, this needs to be mutual. Like, why? Like, let the two fan bases,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have cared if the Rays announcers had done it and got excited when they won. If it's their home game, let their announcers call it.
Yeah.
Clearly you can't really split it because it's a national broadcast. So there's going to have to be a game.
And Joe Davis actually works for Fox, so
Yeah.
that should be easier.
Yeah, you're going to tell them like, hey, don't be complete homers and don't like shit on the other team, but like talk about
Well,
your
Joe
team.
doesn't do that anyway. They don't do that anyway, I don't
No,
think.
no, no, no. But
So,
there are that I've watched a
yeah.
lot of Red Sox this last season, and they do that quite a bit. Eckersley talks so much shit on other players and other teams. Like he on air apologized multiple times. And I would have been embarrassed if that was my team, but it's
Real quick, I
not.
was gonna say I
So
sent you the Charlie
okay,
Steiner clip, so you can watch that after we're finished.
okay. Yeah, I'll check that out because I want to see it. Because I usually don't give him. I'm usually give him a pretty hard time. So if he killed it,
Yeah, a
I
lot of
want to give
people
him the
do because,
props.
like you said, he does Steiner things quite a bit, but I thought it was fitting last
Yeah,
night. I
he's
thought he was
nice.
really
He's nice. He's one of those guys that like I don't like how he is and his work, which I'm sure he used to be a lot better because I know he's a big time broadcaster. Um, I just like I've seen him at the stadium though, and every time I don't know him, like I've never met him. He doesn't know me, but he's the type of guy that every time I saw him at the stadium, like he would smile and nod his head. And so like I always kind of felt bad that I talked shit on him because he's such a nice guy. So
yeah.
I'm glad he had his moment, and I hopefully other fans appreciated it too, because I know we give him a very hard time most of the time. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be that image of Urias pitching and then going down, not down to his knees, but squatting down and yelling,
Yeah.
and then seeing Barnes in the background throw his shit up in the air. Like that's gonna be an image that
Yeah.
lives on for a very, very long
And
time.
like before the playoffs started, we were talking kind of quickly about like unsung heroes, and I mean Julio was that throughout the whole playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he really stepped that fuck up when it really mattered. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, shout out to Julio. I mean, the
Yeah.
regular season was a bit up and down, but he was consistent and pretty dominant through these playoffs.
Yeah. He was fantastic. I think had he maybe had more innings, he could have been in the running for one of the MVPs. Because he was right up there. Bueller, I think if there was a game 7, Bueller really could have had a shot for the
Yeah.
MVP. I know a lot
They
of
put
people
a
talk.
graphic up, right? It was Seager, Turner, Muncy, Kershaw.
Those were the ones that I saw were the discussion, yeah, through MLB.
Okay, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
MLB had them as that's who they thought was gonna win. Muncy I understood just because his on base percentage was fucking insane.
Yeah,
But I didn't think you could give it to him just for that. I think they picked the right person. If it
they did.
wasn't
Yeah,
if it wasn't going to be Seager, I could see it being Kershaw, but overall I think it had to be Seager. What he
yeah.
did, what he hit. So I also don't think Kershaw cares. I think Kershaw just
Now,
wanted that trophy. He's never
do
seemed
you
to
see how
care.
happy he was
Oh
yesterday?
yeah.
He
He
didn't
was
give it one
he
bit.
was bawling. No, I don't. He you could tell like he was ready to just let it all go. Yeah, that he's never cared about personal accolades. He did not care
Right.
about anything. I don't think he even cares that he didn't come into pitch. All he wanted was to win. That narrative is over. You don't get to talk about Clayton Kershaw being bad in the postseason anymore. David Price was able to have his let go when he won the World Series. So that's what we're gonna do. I don't want to hear about Justin Verlander. He may have won a World Series ring. He's never won a World Series game. He's 0-6 in the World Series. So if you're going to talk about any player sucking it up in the World Series, that narrative is no longer Kershaw. Find someone else, because that man has earned his spot and he's going to live
Facts.
on for a very, very long time in Dodger history. And
And
um,
again, I don't want this to get lost. I'll keep saying it. He was phenomenal in 2017, except
yeah,
for the one or two innings in Game
yeah.
5.
Yeah, and he had, I think it was the one bad inning in the NLDS game 1 against Arizona, but that was
Oh
because he
yeah,
was
I was
left
there.
in.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was
yeah.
left in a little too long. It was one of those games where it was like he probably should have been pulled and he would have been okay, but
Yeah.
still they were up
The
enough
Dodgers
that
had
it
given
didn't matter.
him. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
it's yeah, overall though, you can look at any players. There's a lot of players that have a hard time. Even Zach Greinke. Zach Greinke's playoff ERA is about the same as Kershaw's. And Greinke's fantastic in the regular season. There's a lot of guys who, for some reason, once they get there, struggle. But Kershaw came out this year and he did not struggle. He found himself in some situations, but he worked out of them. He looked good. He wasn't walking guys. He was striking guys out. And he had himself a year. I'm excited to see where we go from here and how this team looks moving forward.
It's gonna be a really interesting offseason because they have finally won the World Series. So like if they had lost, you can kind of be like, okay, well maybe switch this player with this player. But now that they've won, do you just bring everybody back and try it again, or do you still make those increment moves? So this offseason is going to be really interesting for the Dodgers.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of that too over the next week with all of that stuff going on, and we'll actually get into that. But before we do have to kind of go over something a little bit that happened last night. During the 7th inning, we saw Justin Turner be pulled from the game because his test had come back that he tested positive for COVID. How the hell that happens in the middle of the game, I could not tell you. Um, the reports that came out at first made things sound a whole lot worse. They were still bad, don't get me wrong. Probably still should have been handled way better, but the reports that initially came out was that what's today? So game 6 was Tuesday. So initially the reports came out that on Monday, when there were no games, Turner found out that he tested positive. Then showed up again the next day, whatever, or they got he tested, came back at the 2nd inning. However, all that was wrong. Turner did not know, let's just say that. Turner did not know on Monday that he tested positive. His test for Monday came back in the 2nd inning of yesterday's game, and it came back inconclusive. So they expedited a test again, came back in the 7th inning that he tested positive, and he was immediately pulled off the field and isolated in the back. He was not on the field when the team initially celebrated. He was not out there for the final out. He was not in the dugout. However, at the end, we did see him come out to celebrate
For
with
the
the
team
team.
picture, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was out there holding the trophy. He was out there with all of his teammates. The argument that's going around a little bit isn't just the fact that he was out there. It was the fact that he was out there and took off his mask while
Yeah.
being in that team picture with everybody else. Um, it's irresponsible. It was bad. MLB and the Dodgers are going to have a lot to answer for because with everything going on, it's a national stage, it's on national TV. You had this whole thing going on, got all the way through, and then the 7th inning of the final game of the World Series, this all blows up, and then that player is now on the field with everybody. And it wasn't just players, from what I read, it was obviously family members, MLB personnel. So it wasn't just like the bubble people, from what I read. My thing with it is it's irresponsible. They have to figure it out. They're going to have to discuss it. They're going to have to do a bunch of contact tracing. I also think at the same time, any other player would have done the same exact thing he did. Um,
Yeah.
it's hard because I don't want to downplay it. Obviously, this virus is very real. They needed to do what they need to did. They needed to do what they needed to do. Turner kind of broke that towards the end. At the same time, like 2020 has been a shit year, so it's really hard for me to sit on this and want to like burn Turner for it. That man has waited for this moment. He's worked his ass off. I like was gutted when I found out that he couldn't even be out there to celebrate with the team initially. Like he's
Yeah.
a big part of this team. And he didn't even get to be out there to celebrate. And so to say like, no, you can't even be in the World Series championship photo or hold the trophy on the field with your wife, like that sucks. They were in the bubble. If anyone was exposed, I promise you it wasn't happening when he went out there to go take a picture. If anyone's exposed, it's when they've been in the bubble this entire time together and Turner was standing on third base talking to any other player that got there while they were in the dugout, high-fiving, doing all that kind of stuff, hugging, yelling in each other's faces. Like if it happened, it had already happened. I don't know where the Dodgers go through from here. It's all over the
Uh,
media.
didn't Passan say that once they got back to the hotel, they were gonna have to do a lot of tracing and blood tests?
Yeah, I think so. A lot of people didn't know whether or not they were going to leave last night or this morning. There were plenty of there were a couple pictures Bueller posted on his Instagram story late at night. It was like maybe close to, their time, it was probably 2, 3 a.m. With them being in Texas, and they were very drunk, it looked like. Which is good for them. I don't care. I'm glad they need to celebrate. So I'm assuming they
I
did
think
not
I
go
saw
anywhere.
those. They were drinking beer though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shitty beer too. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're having a good time. Seems like they stay there, which I think makes it a little bit okay because now you can still put everyone back in the bubble. You can test
Yeah.
every single player. There's obviously they want to get home, but considering COVID, like there isn't this big ass rush, get them home to celebrate with the city type thing. So keep
Yeah.
them all there, test every single one of them, figure it out, start your contact tracing. And then Turner needs to go home and he has to quarantine. And so does any other player
Yeah.
that comes back positive. It sucks. But again, we're in the middle of a pandemic. It's not like they can really go out in LA and celebrate. They won't be missing out on much. So they
Yeah.
got their night last night. Fix what you can today, do good about it moving forward, pray and hope that nothing comes out of this, nobody gets sick, nothing happens, because if that happens, then I think it's gonna become very
Yeah.
problematic. If this becomes someone gets sick or someone, I'm not even gonna go there, but if anything happens, that's when I think this will turn very problematic and MLB is gonna have way more to talk about than what's going on right now with just
Yeah.
Turner. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see
Uh,
how it I'm curious to see how it got in there, if they can find out, because I was convinced that within days after the World Series ending, we would see a spike in players.
yeah.
Because I was convinced that letting fans in was going to cause something like that to happen.
Yeah.
And I think what could really be telling is if anyone on the Rays have it, because the Rays were in San Diego. They've only been in Texas for a week, whereas the
Yeah.
Dodgers have been in Texas for a few
Just
weeks
for
with
yeah.
fans being around for at least 2 weeks now. So the Dodgers have been
Yeah.
exposed longer than the Rays have. So we'll see what happens
Yeah.
with all of that.
Well, yeah, they completely fudged all the uh testing up, but lucky for them, the season's over. So,
Yeah,
but now, like you said, they need to really start testing and tracing and making sure that it doesn't spread.
yeah, and I don't know how they go about this, but I hope they found a way to get contact information for every single fan that was in that stadium because they're crazy as
Yeah.
hell if they think that there's gonna be people there that were sick. There's going to be people that came
Oh
back
yeah.
and got coronavirus for going to a World Series game.
Yeah.
So I hope MLB is prepared for that because that county, from what I read in Texas, had hit an all-time high of cases over the last couple weeks. So MLB's gonna have some
Yeah.
work
I
they need to
just
do.
it,
So
it wasn't smart to begin with, but just
no.
like people who have gone to Trump rallies get COVID, I expect that fans that went to the World Series or NLCS will get COVID as well.
Yeah, I think we're hitting that point as a country that like things have gotten so bad that people want their life back to normal. And I completely get it. I would have been at those World Series games, COVID and all, but if you're doing those things, you still have to take precautions. You still have to do your best to socially distance. I understand people want their lives and I get it. Let's do things that we need to do and have, but like going to crowded bars is probably not things you need to do. But if you're gonna go to a freaking sports game, at least wear your mask and just like try
Yeah.
not to be around other people. Like if you're gonna
And
do
I
these
think the
things,
fans did a pretty good job for the most part, at least at the beginning. Every time they panned to the crowd, I saw people in masks, but the last few games, it few and far between that I saw masks
yeah,
being
it was
worn. Yeah.
it wasn't great. So I am happy though that they at least had the distancing because yeah, the mask thing was not great. But yeah, it's people, I think especially with 2020 coming to an end in the next couple months, I have a feeling come 2021, people are just going to lose their shit and life is going to slowly go back to normal. And not to normal because we're never going to see normal again, but to some extent normal that we can do. Like I don't see baseball not having fans in the stadiums next year. Sure, it may be less than the full capacity, but I think we're going to see a lot of people kind of just say, you know what, at this chance, like I'm gonna take my chance because I
Yeah,
don't think
basketball is
anyone,
already talking about that
yeah, I don't think
because
anyone
they're gonna
expected
start late
this.
December and they're gonna have minimum fans in the stands. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't think anyone expected this to go on as long as it did. COVID and all. So,
Well, I
I
mean, I'm
mean,
not gonna get too deep into politics
no,
here,
no, no.
but
Yeah,
we could have been a lot
yeah,
better off.
no, we could have. I just don't think anyone thought realistically, like, holy shit, we're still going to be here in October. Like, I think everyone had it in the back of their mind, but everyone was like, nah, we're fine. We'll figure it out. And then, like, we just fucked it all up because we thought we'd be fine.
Yeah.
So, but, we're here now.
I was one of the ones that saying, "Oh, this is gonna last for a long time," because
People are
again,
dumb.
you know what? Yeah,
Yeah,
people are
that's
dumb.
everyone. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. So I just want to say I hope
Yeah.
everybody's safe. I hope Turner's okay. I hope nobody else catches it. Nobody gets
Yeah.
sick. Especially all the ones there with the older relatives. I know.
Did the family get tested too, or no?
Yeah, I think so. I think family members
Okay.
were tested every day as
Okay.
well. If you were in the bubble, there were two different bubbles. So there was like there was a bubble that was like the families that were allowed to be down the baseline, like basically near where the players were, and then there were
Yeah.
family members allowed in the seats.
Okay.
So the ones in the seats were not in the bubbles. The ones down by the players were in the bubble. So
Okay.
I don't know what MLB did with that after, because like after the game, there was a video of Cody Bellinger like waving to his family because they were in the stands on the other side of the dugout. So I don't know if when that ended, Bellinger was allowed like for his family to come to the hotel, or if MLB said as long as you're in this bubble at this hotel, you have to stick to our rules. You can see your family
Yeah.
as soon as you leave. So I don't know what happened there. I'm
Okay.
hoping since they found out about the Turner thing, they said no, nobody else is entering this bubble
Yeah.
until we know what's going on. Um,
Well,
so
you would
yeah,
hope so, but I mean, do we
yeah.
really have any hope for the person who runs the baseball?
No, he was
No.
I don't even know what happened with him last night.
Yeah.
That,
Like I told you last night when he started
that
talking, I
was
thought
something
at first
else.
he was. At first I thought he was drunk, and I was like, "Hey, look, it's kind of fun to see you normal and out here drunk." But then as it went on, I was like, "Maybe he's not drunk."
Yeah, a lot
'Cause I
of
saw
people
people
think he
saying
might have
that
had a
he
yeah.
had a stroke, and I was just like, "Oh, well, that's serious."
Yeah, I have no idea what it was. I don't like the guy. I cannot stand him. I hope he's out of baseball very, very soon. But I also hope he did not have a stroke because that is
Yeah.
very scary. When he handed Seager, no, when he was on the stage the first time before Seager announcing that the Dodgers won the championship, everyone booed the hell out of him. Like he tried to not even talk, like as if he was going to wait for the booing to die down, which was dumb as hell because it was never going to stop. He should have just ignored it and went on because you
Yeah.
could tell he was getting nervous. He seemed
Oh, yeah.
okay. He wasn't slurring his words. He seemed nervous, but he wasn't
That's
slurring his
true.
words.
That's
But
true, yeah.
then after all of that, you go to the NLCS, he was a disaster. So I don't know if like the stress got to him when he was being booed on stage and something, and maybe he did have a stroke. I hope he's okay because that's scary for anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty bad. And he's gonna have a lot to answer for too, because he's the one who thought all of this was a good idea to begin with. So I'm glad we got our season, but the whole fans thing was still kind of dumb. But hey, I'm happy the
Yeah.
fans that were there. You guys did your thing, had a good time. I really, really hope that nobody gets sick from this. So
Uh, Scott and his brother were there, right?
yeah, 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 yeah. Scott and
Okay.
his brother were there from Dodger Yard. They were there last night. They went to 2 before, so, yeah, couple there were quite a I had quite a few friends that were there, so that was a lot of fun to see the videos of people actually there instead of having to rely on, all that other good stuff, so,
How insane that must have been for them to actually witness in person them winning the World Series.
yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm hoping to have that time eventually, but
Same.
I'm praying it's at Dodger Stadium because that's
Oh
where I
yeah.
want it. So, but that's really it for World Series talk because we're getting close on in an hour. However, these next few days are going to get pretty crazy as it always does after the season ends. So, we aren't going to go into detail. I just want to let you guys know what's going to be coming up in the next week. We were going to stay on schedule, but we will be back to recording on Tuesdays. We just wanted to wait till the World Series ended to do this one. So, if you do not know, as of today, players are free agents. So they cannot sign with a new team until 5 days after the World Series. This gives the Dodgers or any other team who has free agents, gives them a couple of days to potentially work out a new contract with these players if both sides are interested before another team can kind of swoop in there and start talks. So for the Dodgers, there's a couple big names, couple some fans might not care too much about. However, we've got some guys that are going to be free agents. They're free agents as of today. Justin Turner, Kike, Baez, Blake Trinan, Jock, Jake McGee, and Alex Wood. So all of those guys are free agents. We will give our thoughts on what we think is going to happen there next week. As for McGee, I thought I read on Baseball Reference he had an option for 2021. However, options don't have to be, they have to be exercised within 5 days of the World Series. So I'm assuming he's considered a free agent just because the option has not been exercised yet. It is a team option, so it is up to the Dodgers whether or not they want to take him on for another year. It sounds like they have a team option for Jimmy Nelson as well. Trades are open back up as of today, so teams can get back to trading. I do not expect the Dodgers to stand pat. They're going to enjoy this World Series, and I think they're going to be right back at it, trying to figure out what they can do to win another one next year. Another big thing is qualifying offers. For those of you that don't know what that is, the Dodgers can extend a qualifying offer to a player, which would make so a qualifying offer comes out to 18.9 million for the next season. If a player accepts that qualifying offer, they will be with the team for one more year, getting paid the 18.9 million. If they reject the qualifying offer, then they immediately become a free agent. And if that player signs with another team prior to the amateur draft, the Dodgers would get a compensatory draft pick. So there's a lot that goes on to it. Qualifying offers get a little complicated. They seem to change every rule every year, but there are some of those things that you want to look out for. Sometimes they offer them to players because they know the player will not accept the qualifying offer and then they can get a draft pick if they sign elsewhere. Sometimes they do not extend a qualifying offer because the player might take it because there are some players that are not worth 18.9 million and they might take that to go out for another season and make up that money. So if another team decides to sign that player that got a qualifying offer put on them, they are subject to losing one or more of their draft picks. The Dodgers might extend a couple qualifying offers. However, if I looked at it correctly, the only players they can extend qualifying offers to are Jock, Kike, Baez, Wood, and Trinan. So I would not be surprised to see them offer it to someone like maybe Jock, and that might actually be it. The rest of those guys I mentioned might actually take a 1 year deal at 18.9 million. I doubt Jock does. But we're not going to get too much into that because again, there's like once the Dodgers, if they offer it, they have 10 days to accept or reject that offer. So it seems very unlikely anything is going to happen within the next week. We'll know whether or not they accepted them the offer, but we'll be recording again in 6 days. All of these have pretty much 5 days limits on them before a decision has to be made. So we want to make sure we know what's going on before we try to give you guys a bunch of info. So we will be back next week to talk about more of that. Obviously, we'll still be on our World Series high, but as every baseball fan knows, this season never really ends. So we've got to get right back into it next week. Gonna enjoy this World Series for a very long time, but as always, the goal is always going to be when's the next one. So I have a feeling this front office is going to give us a lot to talk about over these next couple months. So
Yeah.
uh World
Oh,
Series,
real fast. As did Joe Kelly pitch at all? I don't remember seeing him.
no. In the World Series, he didn't yesterday. I know he didn't. I'm
No,
actually
no, he
look.
didn't yesterday, but I don't remember seeing him at all in the series. So I'm
I
trying
don't.
to.
I don't know if he did in the World Series, to be honest. I'm looking now, but I'm on Baseball Reference. If you go to Baseball Reference right now, all the players, like they show, you know how they show player pictures on Baseball
Yeah.
Reference. So right now, it's all the Dodgers. There's no other person except for the Dodgers on the Baseball Reference page right now. But as for this, oh yeah, so he did. He actually pitched in 2
Okay.
games. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was
I know
game
what
one
I'm
and
looking at.
game one and game two. I just couldn't remember if it was the Brave series or if it was this series, but it was this one. He pitched,
Okay.
remember, right before, or was it right after Jansen came in? There was one inning where he came in. He came in the 9th, and then he came in the 6th. Then he pitched an inning, both of those, and he gave up 1 run. So he gave up
Okay.
1 run over 2 innings and struck out 3.
Okay.
So, but yeah, yeah,
Okay.
there was
So
a couple
that's why I
of,
couldn't remember seeing, because if it was game 1 and 2,
yeah, there's so much had already
the
happened
rest of it.
by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. A lot of my stuff blended in, but hey, we're World Series fucking champs. No one can take that away. Doesn't matter. Social media has been so much fun. The Dodgers are constantly posting stuff. So keep up on social, but you can find us at Dodger Yard. You can find my personal at Randy_Radcliffe.
And you can find my personal at Michael Konu, MyKalKonu.
And we've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of cool content coming out, a lot of cool books, DVDs, magazines, all that good stuff. So be ready to spend your money. Even those of us like myself who don't have it, we're going to find a way to spend it. So, hey, government, you want to hit us all with the stimulus check? I know Dodger fans will greatly appreciate it right now. I mean, the whole country would appreciate it right now because, pandemic. But hey, I could use some Dodger gear, so I wouldn't
Nah, Supreme
complain.
Court was more important.
Yeah, well, yeah, politics. So, yeah, it's a mess. But hey, like I said, World Series champs. I don't care what 2020
Yeah.
does. There's no one taking that away from us. So
Nothing.
we got it. I've got to be honest. I am exhausted, not just because of sleep last night, but because this was a hell of a season and doing everything. And I cannot wait to just I don't want to say end this podcast because I enjoy doing it, but I cannot wait to stop recording and just go sit on the
Go
couch
sleep.
and like soak all this in for like a day and then just get right back into work tomorrow. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
do my thing I need to today, but I'm gonna enjoy this.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have so much energy. I'm just gonna start doing random shit.
Yeah, mine as well. Hey, we ain't got anything to do for a while. No more games to be committed to. Just got a podcast to be committed to, 1 hour a week. So we're gonna have fun with this. But as always, we really appreciate you guys tuning in. We hope everyone enjoyed the World Series. Do what you got to do, celebrate, but be safe, and let's go out and do this again next year. And once we have more information on anything we need to know, and of course the parade, we will of course let you guys know, and hopefully we see everyone out there. But other than that, we hope you guys have a good rest of your night, weekend, morning, afternoon, whenever you listen to this. Go Dodgers, and we will catch you guys next week. Bye, guys.
See you later, guys.